Hey, let's go. Welcome back to our show. Tonight, we had a flurry of trades and a 3-day wildness over the weekend in our Dynasty League. We're going to dive into the strategies involved with the logistics of some of the deals that went down, and we can get different perspectives for sure, because Mike and I were an integral part of the wildness. But before that, we always begin the show by asking you the question, where else would you rather be than right here? Boom! Right now. You're looking live on our split studios on this Tuesday evening. This is Fantasy Baseball Now, episode 38, as part of our show with the Ball9.com podcast network.
Yeah, we're in our 72nd year. We'll call this the pre-Memorial Day edition or Panic edition of our show. In addition to the flurry of trades, which we'll talk about, which was just complete and absolute chaos. Start them, sit them, go get them, cut them. A look ahead to next week. If we recall last week, Ben Brown, not a great call by Sean.
He got the strikeout. I told you he was going to get strikeouts. So I said
you
the
cut
rest
him in the middle of his start.
Yeah, but not till after I got the 8 strikeout. Oh, I get him.
Cut him in his start.
Yeah.
You were the fifth inning. You cut him. You picked him up. So much conviction over your 2-start pitcher. You picked him up, and then during the fucking game, you cut him.
Yes. Hey, I'm in 10th place, man. I had no time to wait. That's why I now have Vladdy Guerrero on my team, and he homered his first at bat for T. Pugsley today.
I'm creeping up on you. I'm creeping down on you. Smash the like button. Watch us on YouTube /Ball9. Follow us if you're on Facebook. Hello, Battlefield Bob. Bob was in here quicker than Juan Soto ran to first base last night, so that's all good. But the fact that we've been on for this many episodes, and you know what I learned this week? I learned the name of their opening song.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know it had a name.
It's called Jet Set.
I call it Twib Opening.
I call it Stolen from This Week in Baseball.
Oh, okay.
I call it Mel Allen's dead, so what's he going to do about it?
Well, they haven't sent us any cease and desist letters, so we forge ahead.
Yeah, so we need our audience to expand so we can get in trouble. We need to get in some good trouble here.
I don't change the music.
We won't change it. No. You know what? We'll make it like Johnny Mathis, and we'll interrupt it every 15 seconds so it sounds like a different song. We'll remix it. I'll have Wyatt spin it on the old DJ booth, and we'll remix it.
All right, sweet.
Yeah, what a crazy week, huh?
Yeah. So look, I got the party started. You
did.
It went. I had no idea where it was going to go, but here's my thought process. I'm in 10th place. I get a great pitching staff. My offense sucks. Like 12.5 hitting points out of a possible 60. That qualifies for sucks.
That's so not good. It's 12.5 points out of 5 categories. That's not good.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's about 2.5.
It's not bad. It's not good.
Our good friends at 518 Bookkeeping help us with that. Yeah. So
the abacus.
I said, you know what? I gotta shake it up. I'm in a spot where I need to string a couple of good weeks together here to try and get some points back.
A couple of good weeks. You need a couple of good months, man.
And I'd been given an offer earlier the day, it was Thursday, Luis Robert for Jordan Romano, who at the time was my third best closer.
Yeah. Pre-PED Jose Alvarado. Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll do that trade. I need, Robert, he just can't hit 179 all year. I'll take the.
He does have 17 stolen bases.
Exactly.
It's amazing he's been on base enough to get 17 steals, but he did that. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
17 steals.
I needed a jolt. So I figured I'd go for it. And then once I did that trade, I said, well, Jeff Hoffman got blown up. He was my other closer with Mason Miller.
They all do. He got blown up this week, too. They all get blown up.
They all get blown up. So I traded Matt Olson after like 8 years with my team. Matt Olson and Jeff Hoffman for Robert Suarez in San Diego to pair him with Mason Miller.
And they haven't won
pretty good about things. What's that?
And they haven't won since.
I was feeling pretty good about things until the next day.
Yeah, it was fast and furious. So what did I say? I said when we closed last week, I said, we're coming up on Memorial Day when Panic sits in, and there's usually a ton of trades. Apparently, I was a week early in my prediction because usually around Memorial Day, there's a lot. And I've been poking around. I've been poking around with Schwarber because, I mean, I love him. And he was the 163rd player to hit 300 home runs last night, and it was a missile, 466-foot fucking crusher off the upper deck in Coors, the facing of the upper deck, just a bomb, typical Schwarber home run. But he gluts up my lineup because he's DH only and he can only play one position. And he's got 5 games in the outfield. By the time he gets to 20, it'll be September, and it'll be who cares. So Matt Olson has a 401k account with you, Sean. Yeah, he had to sign a non-compete when he left.
He had a couple of dingers on his way out the door over the weekend. Thank you. And thanks for your service. And Matt Olson will be inducted into the Team Pugsley Hall of Fame shortly.
But all of a sudden, the chaos starts, right? So the chaos starts. And I'm like, okay, 9:00 at night, get a little trade going. And these are only trades from this scoring period. I didn't go back because it kind of started Sunday the 11th is when it kind of started. So I don't go back. And I see Luis Robert. I see Luis Robert for Jordan Romano, and I'm like, Kip's been begging for a close, trying to find a third closer forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
Trying to find a third closer forever and ever. And I'm like, okay, that's a trade. I mean, I look at Robert's stats. I'm like, she's got 17 stolen bases. Plus, you trade for Luis Robert, and there's a pretty good shot he's going to get traded before the deadline, and he could be on a team where he actually cares. And okay, I mean, decent trade. Then the dust settles on that. We get into the week a little bit, and then this next trade, I'm like, what the cripes?
Hey, man, the cripes is this. I saw Vladimir Guerrero sitting on Crusher's bench for a couple of weeks. I'm like,
yeah.
I figured, you know what? I traded Olson. I'll move Goldschmidt to first, put in a DH. I'm fine. And then I texted Crusher's owner and I said, hey, I happened to run into Vladdy Guerrero at the diet section of the grocery store, and we expressed some mutual interest. So let's make this happen. And lo and behold, it did. And he homered tonight, if I haven't mentioned that already.
I mean, so that's a trade where that's a trade. I mean, with Reynolds to some extent, but with Vladdy in it and Logan Webb in it, everybody pays a little bit of attention.
Yep.
Right. So now there's the tremors are rumbling underneath the San Andreas fault, and that's 155 on the 16th. 3 hours later, I'm in the middle of texting with the big man from Massachusetts, and he's begging for Bryce Harper. And we were banging around a bunch. I'm trying to steal another closer from him, and we end up with Christian Walker and Jacob deGrom, because I know Walker's a really good second half player for Bryce Harper. I'm like, oh man. They're like, so Bryce Harper got traded, Jacob deGrom got traded. Now the shit's starting to get fun. And then you get Alvarado and Romano back for Austin Hayes. And I'm still trying to figure out the love for Austin Hayes, but he does have some.
Yeah.
And Kenley Jansen and Jansen was on the mound pretty much every night as they were sweeping the Dodgers. So the Angels are playing better of late. The Phillies can't figure their closer situation out. It's either Alvarado or Romano pretty much every night.
Yes.
So, like, usually this flurry, we're done. But no, so that was at 6:41 a.m., a little bit of coffee and a trade.
My coffee, I got the trade offer. I'm like, that's perfect for me, except
Rich gets nervous.
He should be, because I'm coming.
At 11 o'clock, he trades for the guy that is getting torched tonight.
That's too bad.
And a guy that we'll talk about later, but he gives up a first-round pick plus Zach Eflin for a final round pick in our draft and Spencer Strider.
The interesting part about that is I talked to Boogers. I'm actually the one that told him the trade went through. He's like, I didn't give up anything because he's the defending champ. He's in first place now. He gives up his first round pick. He'll survive. It's with Weymouth Wildcats. The backstory on him is every decent pitcher he's had in the last year and a half to 2 years has gotten hurt badly. Like
bad.
For a while.
Really bad. Like the worst luck in pitching that there possibly is.
He lost 3 number 1 starters on one night early last year. It's been a disaster. I don't blame him for not trusting pitching. You can't blame the guy at all. He's been beaten down by the injury bug.
Like I would have to go through like transaction history in our league. This might be the earliest of first round picks ever been traded.
I'd be willing to say that. Yeah.
This is very early for a first round pick to be traded. And for context, we save 5. You can trade picks. You can only trade picks in next year's draft. You can't trade futures. It's not the NBA where you don't have first round picks for 7 years. It doesn't work like that. But you can trade picks. But this is very early, very early. So that's 5 hours later. 5 hours after that,
pair of Red Sox fans hook up.
The big man can't help himself. And he's already sick, and he's already sick and tired of Lucas Giolito, and I can only imagine why. But he spins Austin Hayes and Marcelo Meyer. So now obviously Weymouth Wildcats is building for next year because he's picked up a first, a third, and Marcelo Meyer. And he gives up Hader and Riley Green. And Riley Green is having a phenomenal year.
Yeah, he is.
He's having a really, really good year. So you see Hader get traded, you see some more picks. That's usually the end of it. All right, let's let everything calm down. No. We wake up the next day, 5:31 a.m.
Early riser.
Jack Flaherty for Tommy Canley and Will Vest. And then I end it Monday before the day starts, as I've been shopping Kyle Stowers, by trading Stowers for Ranger Suarez. I needed a starter just because I needed a starter. And like that's 7 trades in like 4 days.
A very short amount of time.
Which is a lot of activity.
The interesting part about those trades is there's a lot of different things in there. Like we talked about, do you stay patient with some of these guys? I took the guys that killed me the first 6 weeks, and they're gone. And I'm just hoping the guys I brought in continue to play well. Goldschmidt isn't going to hit 347 all year. I don't expect him to, but I'll take 285 if that's what he does the rest of the way. But you with Harper is the one that was like, you said it at the end of the show last week. You referenced you might want to do it. I started texting you as the backup. If I wasn't going to get Vladdy, I was going to get Bryce Harper. But what about now? Did you decide was it's time to cut bait?
Well, I needed strikeouts. I needed a reliable starter. I'm already doing, like, pitching statistically wise, I'm doing well. First in WHIP and first in ERA, near the top in wins. Like pitching, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I needed, and I had been back and forth with Kip about how Walker's a second half player. So yeah, like there were a bunch of names being thrown around, like a bunch. But like I love Harper. I picked him. I picked him to win the MVP in the National League, and I still think he is a notoriously slow starter. But I'd rather trade for a guy who's low, like Walker, who's going to get all his stats after I get him.
Yeah.
And add that pitcher. And yeah, I mean, I gave up Soto to get Harper, but I got O'Neill Cruz at the same time. And I guess his back's okay because he's got 2 stolen bases tonight. But like, I just needed to, maybe was it a little bit of FOMO? Like there's trades going on and I'm not in them. Maybe. I mean, I tried to move Schwarber.
You didn't call
That
me.
was 3 or 4 pretty solid offers, but then we have the same challenge with a single DH, right? With our roster construction and a single DH instead of a couple of utility players. You know, Ohtani's only a DH. Devers is about to only be a DH on June 1st. I mean, Osuna's only a DH. There's a bunch of teams that have that position sucked up.
Rooker,
and he's not as close. And he's not as close to having outfield qualification as I thought he was going to be because I did offer for him too. I thought he'd get there before Schwarber.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not done.
I see you plummeting in the standings, so maybe
not good. Yeah. So Bob has chimed in when I said I think that was the earliest our first round picks ever traded. Bob's was June 8th last year, and that was early. That was really early.
Yeah.
But I think the point of all this is that like when you make so decisions were made during this flurry of trades.
Yep.
Some decisions were made that I need to get better, and some decisions were made that next year is next year, right? Obviously, Weymouth Wildcats made a decision that next year is next year. Like there's no climbing out of this hole that he's in. He's looked at his roster like we all have, trying to find ways to make deals with them. And like, wow, there's not a lot there in the immediacy. But if Meyer and Roman Anthony come up and they're as good as they think they can be,
yeah,
and he adds that first round pick that he just got, he could be right. Like he could be immediately relevant with that team. That and you know, you do have one of our owners who is very itchy.
Me?
No,
we got a few.
No. What did I say to him tonight when we were when we were back and forth? When he said he's traded Soto for Yadi Molina, whenever that was.
Yes.
I go, that was likely an overcorrection of panic and boredom on your part. And that's him, man. He scours this relentlessly. And he will text our group like, I'm bored, I need to make a trade.
Yep.
So I think it's as much as and that's like that's what sustains the league. What sustains this league for this long amount of time is if you've got like half the league that are over to hyper overactive owners, then the rest of the league's going to follow whether they want to or not, because they're going to keep getting trade offers, whether they're as active as we want it to be or not.
Well, it's like a fever. It spreads.
I mean, it's just So it's never too early to make a trade. It's if you analyze them trade by trade by trade without seeing the rosters, you're like, why would Mike trade Bryce Harper for Christian Walker and Jacob deGrom? Why would this trade happen? Why would that but you can't without the ability to see the rest of the rosters and the standings. Because I see those posts all the time on the X, formerly known as Twitter. Like, this trade was made in my league. What do you think? And my first reaction is, what's the rest of the lineup look like on both teams, and what place are both teams in? Like,
yeah, what's the rationale?
Like you don't know. Is it a dynasty league? Is it you don't know? You can't judge trades without total context. You can look at trades on the surface and say, if it was a real baseball trade, would the Phillies trade Jacob deGrom, trade Harper for deGrom and Walker? No, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it in a minute. And if deGrom was on the Astros wouldn't do it either, because they wouldn't pick up the salary. And so that's all that, right?
Yep.
If we were a salary league, this would be trades would be totally different.
Yeah,
because you'd have to match salary, and it would be, and we're not
I would never get in a league like that. I do accounting all day.
No, we're smart, dumb guys. Like we like baseball, but not enough to be that friggin' diligent about.
Exactly. Could you imagine us trying to do a salary league on draft day when everyone's got 20 beers in them by the time we're halfway through? Yeah. Here, borrow my abacus over there. And then
Sean, you just reached the second threshold, and you owe everybody in the room $40.
Yeah.
You can go over, but you're going to pay.
Yeah.
That was like when we at one point we were paying. We had X number of ad drops per year. Then you had to pay for over that, and we're like that was 1 year. Like, nah, we're not doing that.
The big man has chimed in, celebrating his Bryce Harper.
Nobody fucking cares.
Welcome, BU.
Nobody cares if Bryce Harper knocked in 2 runs. Nobody cares.
BU 0215 from Cooperstown, Mike.
Philly fans do, but nobody cares.
So here's the thing about what I like about these trades. And it's not just that Weymouth Wildcats just said, you know what? A couple of weeks ago, I told you, I woke up Sunday morning, had to admit to my wife I was in a pissy mood because my fantasy baseball team was upsetting me. It was Cody Bellinger specifically. And that warranted the text to you guys. Mount Pugsley's about to blow. As all I did all morning was look for trades.
Yeah.
I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I just did a really crappy job during the draft, and this team sucks, and it's going to suck. And you know what? When do you start thinking about 2026?
Cody Bellinger almost made my who's hot this week just to rub it in a little bit. But
I had Patrick Corbin on the list, and I changed it mercifully. I just wanted to make you do that graphic. But you look at Weymouth Wildcats, he's had such bad injuries. Look, that might be the Strider trade might not be any relevant this year anyway, if he doesn't pitch well or if he gets hurt again, right?
Well, right. I mean, it tonight didn't go well for him.
No.
Like, his first start back was not. He's an elite pitcher. There's no question about it. He's elite. But once guys get hurt, you never know. Like, I keep waiting for Brandon Woodruff to come back, and he finally gets back from his arm injury, and then he hurts his ankle during a rehab start.
Yeah.
So compensating for injury, until they get right. I mean, Sandy Alcantara is a perfect example. He's not right yet.
No, he just sucks.
He will be. Nah, watch your mouth.
I lived it for 8 starts. I assume Cooperstown there is talking about Strider.
I'm guessing yes. I mean, I'm sure it was. I mean, he's probably the other part of that. The other part with guys that pitch with high, consistently high velocity, is that once they get hurt, there's the mental part that they got to overcome too. Am I really ready to let it go, or am I going to get hurt again? And he lets it go, and I was thinking it's a leg injury. I mean, it's there's that stuff. Like you can't judge. Like you think they're professional athletes and they know what they're getting themselves into, but at the end of the day, like their livelihoods based on their bodies. And being hurt once is one thing, and then one thing all professional athletes talk about is like when they're on the injured list or they're on the whatever it is, how lonely it is because they're really not around a team. So you're kind of in your own head all the time, and maybe he's been spending a little, maybe him, all these guys, they get hurt all the time, and we'll see with Glass now. Snell had a setback. I mean, Hunter Green, thankfully, he's pitching Friday. He's coming back on Friday, and that was a quick injury. But like you never know. Like you never know like what that time with yourself when you're not like in the bullshit of the clubhouse all the time, whether you're pitching or not, what that does to you mentally. And maybe Strider just needs to get himself right in his mind, and he's going to be fine. He's too good.
Yeah.
He's too good. But I don't have him on my team, and he's not in my lineup, and he pitched like shit tonight, so good for him.
For the first place team, so even better.
That's much better. Much better.
Speaking of who's not hot, Strider, and who is.
Yeah, who's hot? I mean, wow. Both of these guys, holy crap.
I
had to learn how to spell Shawver's name right.
Yeah, he's knocking on the door. He's one of the reasons why I could trade Logan Webb in the Guerrero trade, because he's one of my 3 or 4 extra starters where I just need one of them. My top 4, Wheeler, Sale, Evaldi, and for now Tyler Mahle just keeps jamming. That I just need one spot, and he's the flavor of the month right now. Ranked 7th in CBS the last 21 days, 25 innings, 1.08 ERA, 0.84 WHIP. Good strikeout rate, not quite 1 an inning, but just under. But and he's only started in 60% of the leagues. He's only in 86, but he's pitching lights out.
And then on the flip side, this is a little late because he's up to 93% owned and 87% started. But Elio Ramos, who was in the 60s for ownership 2 weeks ago, last 14 days, 465, 3 homers, 12 RBIs, 8 runs. Literally carrying the surprising Giants. Not only is he you must be super deep in the outfield if you're not starting him right now.
Absolutely.
And he's fun to watch.
He is. I had him last year for probably the last half of the year. He's a lot of fun to watch. And he was streaky over the weekend.
He's streaky, but when he's right, he's right. And he's getting less streaky. And then the flip side, as always, there's always the flip side. This one hurt me.
Wait a minute. Take a step back for a second, dude. I've noticed something. You got the guys who are not. We have them in positions that suggest
that they're not hot.
Great job.
No.
Great job.
Ozzy Alba sitting on his ass. Sal Perez trying to figure out how to get a fucking base hit. Yeah, there's that. Like, I spend more time on graphics, on photos for this, images for this than anything.
Very good. Well, it shows. Good job. Kudos. You're hired.
I know.
Yeah, Albies has started in 84. He's 84% of CBS leagues. The hard part about him is he's a tough guy to bench. Not that you may be carrying an extra second baseman anyway. But hitting 219 last 21, 1 homer, 4 RBIs. I said it. I kept him for a couple of years in our team, just kind of waiting for that massive breakout season. It hasn't happened. Don't know if it's going to happen. He's gotten some injuries. I just worry that Ozzy Albies is going to be one of those guys that never quite got to be as good as everybody said he was going to be.
Well, he was as good as everybody thought he was going to be, and now he's not. And now now it's 2 years.
Yeah.
And now it's 2 years. And they got a list of guys. I mean, Michael Harris could have been on that list too, of underperformers that are keeping them from being a really good team. And Harris and Albies. So they might be this is interesting, right? So they might be a case in why you don't pay these young guys big contracts early, right? Like Tatis is on the flip side of that. Riley's on the flip side of that. Jose Ramirez on the flip side of that. But it is a crapshoot when you pay these young guys, when you lock them up early. And maybe it's just like the draft, right? You're going to be 50-50. So maybe it's going to be a 50-50, but then you got them locked up. Sal Perez, one of my favorite players, my opinion, a Hall of Famer. Last 2 weeks, 170, no homers, 5 RBIs, and 0 runs scored. And the Royals are playing good baseball. And he still started in 70% of the leagues. And there are catchers available for sure. There are catchers available because that was always on my there was a couple of them on my that almost made the go get them. But you right now you can't start him. You can't cut him. You can't cut him for a bunch of reasons. Number one, he's got a track record of performing. You don't drop off that fast. You just don't. He's catcher and first base eligible. So he just could be off to a slow start and scuffling right now. And as you can see from the picture, he can't even figure it out himself.
But a big stat there in the comments from the guy who owns him.
Yeah, I mean,
I love Sal Perez. He is a Hall of Famer, by the way. I agree.
But right now, for him to be started in 70% of CBS leagues, there's a couple of elite catchers. There's a bunch of really good catchers that are still not owned. That are still not owned. Ivan Herrera comes to mind right now.
Yeah.
Like he's floating around there. Amaya floating around. Like those guys are floating around. And you can grab somebody for a couple of weeks and sacrifice somebody on your bench to help your team win, as opposed to scuffling with Sal Perez. So who should you go get this week? Boy, I don't know about that one, dude.
Yeah, that's a reach. It's a reach. He got a little tough introduction of the season the other day by the Brewers. I had Zippy Matthews last year for a couple cups of coffee on my team. I liked him. His overall stats, I took a look at him again yesterday. I was like, oh crap, he sucked. His ERA was high and everything. There's something about him I like. He's got good reports coming out of AAA coming up. I'm not saying go get him, put him in your lineup, but go get him on your team and give him a look for a few starts. I think he's probably worth it. And they're all of a sudden good. I can't figure that out. But I don't know how long that's going to last.
Well, you don't win 13 in a row and be good. But you're not good when you win 13 in a row. You're great.
They're a lot gooder than I thought they would be.
Hello from Chicago. The Sausage King of Texas is in Chicago.
Is he weighed in? Very nice.
I hope you get a Chicago dog while you're there.
Old style. Get an old style.
In an old style.
Gotta have an old style. Or
he's probably at a Neil Diamond concert.
Mr. Roman.
He's visiting Abe. He's visiting Abe.
Is he wearing a sweater vest?
Yeah, exactly. Learn how to play the accordion while you're there. And for me, it's Nolan Schanuel, and first base has turned into a couple of guys and a bunch of really good players, and he's one of them. I mean, the last 2 weeks he's 364, a homer, 9 RBI, 5 homers, 9 RBIs, 11 runs. He's only 35% owned. But he's 277, 3 homers, 14 RBIs, and 25 runs. And he's not that much. And at 277, he's in a group of guys, except for the RBIs. If he was in the 20s for RBIs, he'd be Olsen, Harper. He'd be a lot of guys, right? he's in a glut of a bunch of guys, and all of a sudden they're playing good baseball. All of a sudden, and Trout's coming back. He was running in the outfield yesterday. So Trout's coming back, and they've been scoring enough runs since they got Zach Neto back, of course. But like that lineup's starting to figure itself out. And like you could do worse. You could do far worse than Nolan Shanuel at first base. So then we look ahead to next week, and let me remind you.
Who's you got to cut people?
Oh, we got to cut people first. I'm sorry. I was trying to avoid that because I'm going to get into a big giant rant when I do this. So, but I'm trying not to. You go first, and then I'll.
Christopher Morel. I was just checking him out the other day, and I said, "Why would anybody have him on your team?" And
come on, Ted. Shanuel's a left-hand hitter. How do you? Come on. I thought I was playing right into your wheelhouse with that one.
Yeah, right. Sucking up.
I was sucking up a little bit.
So 30% of fantasy owners have Christopher Morel, and I just asked the question why. He's hitting 203 this year, 3 homers, 11 RBIs. He's not even playing every day. You can rid your team of his presence and go get somebody else that can help you somewhere along the line. Now your rant.
We do have a point about Ted. You do have a point about Clemens because he's on the Tigers, which helps, and then B, like he's raking right now, like a lot of guys on that team are. So, if we go back to the trades, if you looked at Zach Eflin, he deserved a first-round pick for taking him. like it was like let's make a deal. You get what's in the box, what's behind curtain number 1 and what's behind curtain number 2. Because if you're dumb enough to take the donkey that's behind curtain number 1, you get the trip to fucking Fiji and a new car. So his last 2 starts, 8.7 ERA, 1.65 WHIP. On a season, he's 5.08 ERA. He's like 2/3 of a strikeout an inning. He's 91% owned. Like what? Why anybody on earth would own a fucking Baltimore pitcher? Like you need to stop playing fantasy if you own a Baltimore Oriole pitcher. There's like the best one to own is Sagano, and he's the bottom of your roster guy.
Yeah, he can't strike anybody out. Other than that,
and then
okay, but yeah,
to pile on to the pretending, the team that's wasted the greatest young group of hitters possibly in Major League Baseball history. They fired the guy that's been asked to make chicken soup out of chicken shit. They don't fire the guy that gave him the groceries and put him in this position. They fire the guy that they fire the guy that stuck him with a third starter as his ace. And I know Grayson Rodriguez is hurt, and I get it, but I'm going to tell you, like, he wasn't great. He was still figuring it out. Like he was inconsistently consistent. And when he was good, he was really good. When he was good, he was really good. Right. And that's a great point, Ted. So you promote another idiot from that same group when the wrong guy got fired in Baltimore. And trust me, I don't root for Baltimore to be good. I like when they suck because it's actually fun for me. And I can drive an hour and 40 minutes and get a ticket pretty quick to go to a really nice ballpark and watch baseball. But you get an owner that says he's going to be different. He's
not even close.
He's the same.
Not even close.
He's since the Who's doing their 5th farewell tour, he's meet the new boss, same as the old boss. You lose an ace of aces, right? And you replace him with literally nothing. You blow it on Kobe Mayo. And they finally had to call him up because of injury when you could have traded him and helped your pitching staff. You've kind of half-assed blown it on Kjerstad. You could have traded him and helped your pitching staff.
Yep.
I know Jordan Westburg's hurt, but he's going to come back, and that's going to make it even more difficult. And you're right. It's May, and they're acting like it's October and the season's over, and we're just going to move on going into next year. And the move on going into next year is Elias has to be like they need a new GM, and they need to blow up that entire coaching staff, and they need to reset.
Yeah, look,
you're right. They got nothing. They got nothing for two guys that are helping the Marlins, a bad baseball team, like their number one offensive player and a guy coming back from injury who's been really good pretty good since he came back. And they can't get out of their own way. And I can't believe I'm saying this. I feel bad for their fans because the fans should be really excited about those young players, right? Yep. Gunnar Henderson will be fine. Everybody needs to relax on Gunnar Henderson. Westburg will be back. He'll be fine. Seth Mullins having a really good year. Mountcastle will be fine. Jackson Holliday's starting to break out and become the player they thought they'd draft. He's pretty hot recently. Like, they have great young offensive talent. Rutschman, fantasy-wise, probably not a guy you want on your team, but baseball-wise, you don't want – how many other catchers do you want, right?
Yeah, no, he's a cornerstone. Cowser, yes, Colton Cowser.
I mean, there's so many guys. And, like, how can you be that good at drafting offense and that poor at drafting pitching? Like, how can you possibly be that bad?
Well, here's the reality of it.
If you put the Orioles and the Pirates together as one team, they'd be the best team in baseball because nobody knows better how to draft pitching than the Pirates, but they can't draft an offensive player to save their butts.
It's not Brandon Hyde's fault that their big free agent pickup was Charlie Morton this offseason. That's not
Who's now in the bullpen. Who's now in the bullpen?
He shouldn't even be in the bullpen.
Well, they can't release him because they're paying him. And that would go against everything they believe in. Somebody else will pick him up. They'll make him right. He'll be good or decent. And like it's just like they're just Tyler O'Neill's coming back. I mean, like that's your signing.
Yeah.
Like you lose Santander and you pick up a guy that's always friggin' hurt. Always. He's never not been hurt. The two things that are consistent about Tyler O'Neill is he homers on opening day and he ends up on the injured list. Those are the two things. Other than that, what else is there? So, like, maybe it's not even Zach Eflin that should go away. Maybe the entire hierarchy of the organizational staff of the Orioles should go away. And then at some point in time, there'll be a team in that division that can actually make the Yankees feel like they have to play to win the division. Because, I mean, Walker Buehler hates being in Boston so much that he faked getting hurt and then immediately got kicked out of a game his first game back. He's like, we're not going anywhere. I can't pitch on a third place team. It's not I'm a Dodger. Like, I'm used to winning every year. These guys suck.
I was lip reading 101 with him tonight.
Oh,
it was easy to ascertain what he was saying to Mr. Umpire.
Yeah, that John Boy will have fun with that tomorrow. But that was a horrible call. And
it was.
And
too bad.
Like in a series where I want both teams to lose, after all the bullshit that I went through this weekend, if the Red Sox sweep this series, I'll be perfectly fine with it. I'm not going to make up any ground on the Yankees anyways. It doesn't matter.
Get you a Red Sox hat.
You will not be. Yeah. You know why? Because my toilet in the second floor's bath is broken. So maybe I'll use that.
All right. Next week, look ahead.
A look ahead. Let's see how you did. I can't wait for this. Did you pick up Hayden Birdsong yet? You did.
No, I didn't. I drafted Hayden Birdsong. He was my last pick of the draft this year, and I cut him. He didn't win the job in the rotation. And Iron Brigade has had him for a while. Yeah, love him. I can't get him now. If he was available, he'd be on my team. He would have been on my team by now.
I'm with you, Ted. I wouldn't pick him up. I'm with you.
What's that?
I'm with you, Ted. Not me.
You pick him up.
You pick him up, and then Monday during a start against the Tigers, when it's 11-1 in the third inning, you'd be cutting him again.
I had to cut him. You get lit up by the Marlins. I'll
had to
take the
cut
8 strikeouts and good luck this weekend, and then leave it on a good note. Maybe I'll invite you back someday.
Yeah, my guy's the enigma. Nick Martinez. He's the enigma because he doesn't miss any bats. You never know if he's going to be in a rotation. You never know if he's going to be in long relief. But the Royals don't hit. The Cubs, I mean, I don't like that matchup against the Cubs all that much, but his whip is solid. He doesn't walk anybody. He give up a lot of runs. He gave up 1 run in 6 innings tonight. I mean, you need somebody to fill out the bottom of your rotation, then why not? Why not pick up Nick Martinez while you can pick him up? And then from a hitting standpoint, I love your matchup. I like both of these matchups next week.
We're just picking on the Rockies. Who's playing the Rockies next week? And in Coors Field? Go for it. The second week in a row I've done that.
Well, they're traveling. They're traveling, and not surprisingly, we both have them in the teams that we like for. Yeah, I got my eye on Colton Gordon. He looked really good the other night. He looked really good. Yeah, the Cubs versus the Rockies. I mean, I watched that Phillies game last night. Starter ERA is 7.09. It's the highest in baseball. 7.09.
That's high.
7.09. That's high. They're 2 runs higher than any starting staff in Major League Baseball.
Wow.
Really bad. Freeland pitches phenomenal last night. They bring in the bullpen, and the Phillies go crazy. I went from 3-1 to 9-3, before I could get up and get some popcorn. The White Sox don't score enough runs to scare me against the Mets, and all these young starters are starting to hit a little wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danny Palencia's debut with the Cubs last night as the closer did not go well. Presley will be back in that job in a minute. Yeah, the Blue Jays are interesting because they're playing just well enough that if Hoffman, and I was down on Hoffman, and I know a lot of people thought I was nuts. I thought he was more of a hold guy than he was a save guy. And recently he's looking like more of a hold guy than a save guy. They're not going to jerk around. I mean, the Central is dominating the playoff standings right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you got the Tigers doing what the Tigers are doing, and they're not slowing down even a little bit. The Twins winning 13 in a row. The Royals winning 16 out of 20. Guardians are down a little bit right now, but they run a little bit of a streak. I mean, you got 4 teams that, I mean, the Yankees have enough of a cushion in the East, but they'd be in second place in the Central. And the West can't figure itself out. It can't figure itself out. I mean, I don't understand. I don't get it.
If Seattle can hit, they'll run away with that division.
Well, they'd have to add a hitter.
Well, that's why I said if.
But they have to, I mean, and that's 2 years of this, right? So that's 2 years that they haven't added a bat. And there's been plenty of opportunity. There's been plenty of opportunity, like the Leody Taveras to replace Victor Robles. They're going to try to. They're going to try to figure it out. I mean, the Rangers can pitch. The Rangers pitching is not the problem. I thought the Rangers are exactly the opposite of what I thought they were going to be. Where I thought they'd pitch enough to pitch, and their offense would score so many runs that it wouldn't even really matter.
Yeah,
and it's exactly the opposite. I mean, for Will Warren to be doing what Will Warren is doing against that lineup tonight, changing your hitting coach didn't work. Brett Boone's brought him 5 hits tonight. 5. And they've struck out 12 times in 7 innings. And I still think the Rangers are going to win the division. I still think the Rangers are going to win the division. So here's the word to the wise that you always have to be word to the wise, right? So Brandon Walter had a really good start for the Astros tonight. 5 innings, 5 strikeouts, 3 hits, and a walk. But it was Tampa. So you got to and I'm not saying that to be down on Tampa, but when guys make early, like when guys are early, like are call up starters, and they have big starts, you got to look at who it's against.
Oh yeah,
because if teams have high strikeout rates, they're going to get strikeouts just because they're going to get strikeouts.
I agree, Uncle Ted, on Santander.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
All right.
I thought Tampa would score 1 billion runs in that ballpark, and they're not.
They're devoid of talent. That's the problem.
Well, maybe the Yankees are so much in their head that even playing in the Yankee spring training facility gets to them.
Vagabonds.
They'd be happy. They're playing in a ballpark that actually looks like a baseball stadium, not a fucking not a toilet bowl without a handle on it.
This is true. All right. Do it again next Tuesday.
We will do it again next Tuesday. We will do it again. 8:30 live in the East. Always by Astros starters, no matter what.
Yeah, until they get hit in the outfield during batting practice and break their pitching thumb and miss 5 weeks. Spencer.
Well, that's a problem.
Get back. Peace out, Ted.
Peace. Thanks, Ted. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Cooperstown Collection. Thanks, Big Man, for chiming in.
Absolutely.
While you're watching the Red Sox beat the Mutts again. Jesus. Did they mercy rule the Cubs game tonight?
What's the score?
14-1 was the final.
Ouch.
Let's see what position pitcher pitched tonight. No. Yep, Javier Singh Sonoga. An inning, 6 runs, 5 hits. You root for that as a fantasy owner, because you know your guys are going to get, like, if you're a Seiya Suzuki owner, you're glad that dude pitched, because Cubs are scary, man. Cubs are scary. Cubs are good.
Yes, sir.
I might have to go to Wrigley. I may have to go to Wrigley this summer while it's fun.
There you go.
Knowing I'll be able to sing "Go Cubs Go" with the faithful. Red Sox beat the Mets. It's a shame. They're already out of first place. Phillies are winning. The Mets lost. All of a sudden, it ain't so much fun as when your $500 million, $600 million player is jogging, pouting because he's not a Yankee. Many do.
You got paid. All right. We'll catch you next week.
Let's see how many friggin' trades there are this weekend. Holy cow.
Hashtag sell the team, John.
Yeah, please.